Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Spanish Sling, a podcast where we try to bridge the gap between the Spanish and Singaporean companies and encourage economic relations between them. Today we're going to tackle one of the key elements that touches all the sectors in a transversal way, technological development. This is why we welcome today to the Spanish Sling Jordi Pol, founder and managing director of BCN Smart Technologies. So Jordi, thank you so much for coming to the Spanish Sling.
Thank you.
And in the first part of the interview, we're going to focus on Spanish technological developments. So in your own personal opinion, Jordi, what do you think are the main technological revolutions happening in Spain right now?
Well, I've been based here for the last 15 years, so I have a slight vision from this side of the world.
Yeah.
But I have seen massive development in smart cities technologies,
Mm-hmm.
and I have seen massive development in biotechnology and biomedical technology. Yeah, this could be more in terms of platforms and in terms of devices, but at the same time, I have seen a lot of research in biomedical, which leads for drug discovery and so on.
Yes. So biotech, technological, all these innovative sectors happening and revolutions happening in Spain right now. And you have been working in Malaysia for so many years. So you understand the Asian ecosystem a little bit. And so do you know if there's an existing technological transfer between Europe and Asia?
Okay, so I have a lot of experience in the healthcare space and biomedical space. So I can tell that there are successful Spanish companies in the region, from India to China to New Zealand, with a strong establishment in Southeast Asia. And I have seen through distributorship agreements that Spanish technology is well established, is well seen, is well accepted. But yet I'm not sure if this would go to a level of technology transfer. Yeah. Yet the level of investment of Spanish companies in the region, it's more in sales and marketing and technical service support, but not yet in industrial setups.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, there is maybe know-how transfer in terms of support to technology, but not as much as in the technology itself. So there's a lot to be happened yet, and in fact there are some programs on that particular space for R&D development, which are driven by the Spanish government, by the CDTI, and the different agencies in different countries, especially in Southeast Asia. There are programs in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Thailand.
Yes, so there's a lot yet to be done,
Yeah.
but we'll manage it, and through these kind of programs and initiatives, I'm sure we can help to overcome that and have this real technological transfer. So in the last reply that you gave me, you touch upon the perception of Spanish technology. So I want to come back to that and ask you, how do you think this Spanish technological developments and these technological companies are perceived in your region?
Well, as you said, there's still a lot to be done. The perception about Spain technology is yet to be perceived to the level it requires. Having said that, there are more and more business entrepreneurs and MNCs looking at Spain. We have seen acquisitions of Asian companies to Spanish companies in the recent months and years in the space of healthcare, for example. We have seen co-developments through programs organized by ethics in the technology transfer in countries like Malaysia, for example, in waste management. But yet, I think that the perception is that Southern Europe does not produce technology as Northern Europe. And I think when they discover us, they are amazed to see how competitive we are. They are amazed on how driven we are and how executive we can be. And at the same time, they appreciate very much our emotional intelligence. They like mingle with us because they can trust us. And I think a lot more is yet to happen.
Yes. So we see that Asia is kind of turning his side into Europe and especially Spain, but there's yet a lot to be done. But we have the technological and the resources to do so. So we have Asia looking to Spain, and is Spain looking towards Asia in a way. So what do you think that in this video we're trying to encourage all the Spanish technological companies to come to Singapore and start their business here? So Jordi, for them, what are the main advantages that you see in being established here in Singapore?
Well, I think we need to understand the context of Asia. Asia is changing a lot, and we are dividing Oriental Asia and Southeast Asia or South Asia into blocks. And I think that Singapore now is the spot to be. I think that lots of even Chinese companies are coming over here. So Singapore offers a platform, or a very cosmopolitan platform, whereby people from all over the world are developing business, and they are bringing over cutting-edge technologies. So for those Spanish companies looking at being at the, as I said, the state-of-the-art space, Singapore is a good platform. Asia at the moment is booming. Asia is where there is a lot of cash flow, there is talent, and they are making things happen, and the market is just emerging. So Singapore is just a gateway to ASEAN, but then we've got countries like Malaysia, which are, I would say, very, very interesting, very close to Singapore, and they are offering with the English superiority another platform for this second or even first start. I would say that in terms of cost competitiveness, then they offer better options than Singapore, because Singapore at the same time it's a very high cost structure. But definitely it's the place to be to identify venture capital funds, investors, and high qualified talent. So Singapore definitely it's the gateway to Asia. It's at the moment the most important destination for Spanish companies to be.
Wow. So you just follow Jordi's advice, because as you can see, Singapore is one of the most vibrant ecosystems in the world. As you have mentioned, it's the gateway to Asia. So be brave and be bold, and just come and establish in Singapore. But in which way can they start their business in Singapore? Do you think they need a local partner, or how do you think is the best way to enter the market?
Again, I think Singapore is a gateway. So it's a regional destination whereby you can find money to start, you can find talent, but not necessarily will be the destination of our technology. So then could be a place to start, could be a place where you can set up an office to understand what's going on in the region, and then from here start moving to those markets whereby there is a better demand for the technology. Every company is different. I would say that there's not much for a partnership in Singapore. I think that they can come here. There are a lot of platforms for landing. Even you guys are a perfect example for that. And once they are in Singapore, they can start visiting the countries in the region and then decide where they would like to start. The market in Singapore is small, so it could be a good kickoff, but then later companies have KPIs to achieve, and then those sales targets can be achieved in countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam. Then in those markets is where you need a partner. Okay, you always need a local partner to understand the rules and regulations, as well as the business idiocracy. So definitely you need a partner. And having a regional office is in parallel of having distributorship agreements and partnerships in each market. So the regional office is an instrument to run those agreements in different countries. Then it could be that one country has a service office, another country has a marketing office, another country has an R&D office, and it's not necessary to concentrate everything in Singapore. But it could be a good start.
Yes, so each company is different, and of course they have to take step by step and consider that each country in a way is different, has its own regulations, and need to enter the market in different ways. So they should really look into that. And finally, so you have talked about the advantages, wonderful advantages coming to Singapore and the region. But of course, there will be some drawbacks as well. So, Jordi, what do you think, just to conclude this interview, what are the main barriers when they come to Asia and specifically Singapore?
Well, I said earlier, Singapore has very high structural costs, and this could be a challenge for the type of Spanish companies. Don't forget, about 80% of our company demography are SMEs, and then they might not have large budgets for this kind of international expansion programs. Then that's a very important challenge, retaining talent, because cost of living here is high. Then number two, I think one of the other challenges is the project needs sustainability in time. Okay, so meaning sometimes you are not successful during the first 12 months. So you need maybe 24 months, and this means an important support from the headquarters.
Yes.
So I would say that one important challenge is to understand from the management perspective that this kind of adventure is not easy, and this requires patience, and this requires that it's costly. Yeah. So I have no doubts that Singapore is the place to be and the place to start. I have no doubts that it could be also maybe Kuala Lumpur if Singapore is a bit too expensive. But what's the challenge is that we come with the right mindset, and we can withstand 1, 2, 3, up to 5 years to achieve that success. And this costs money, needs energy by those leading the project, and most important, they need to find the right people. Places are made by people.
Yes,
you need to surround always by the best, and this needs time.
Yes. So definitely, there are huge advantages of coming to Singapore, but of course you need a long-term vision and trust from the headquarters, and of course the right people to start the business in Singapore. So thank you so much, Jordi, for your inspiring words. I want to stay here just because just by listening to you. So I'm sure all the Spanish companies listening to this podcast will feel the same way. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.